Hello everyone, welcome back. Ready for another deep dive. Today we're tackling a chess puzzle. A real brain twister, this one.
Always up for a challenge. Let's see what we've got.
All right, so picture this. White has their queen on d6, a pawn on b4, another pawn on c4, one on e4 too. Then there's a pawn on a3, a knight on c3, a bishop on e3, and another bishop on f3. There's also a pawn on g3, and another on h3, and one more on f2. White's got a rook on d1, another rook on e1, and lastly, the king is sitting on g1.
Okay. Sounds like white's got their pieces spread out. What about black? What's their setup?
Black's got their rook on c8, another rook on e8. Their king is on g8. They've got a queen on e7, pawn on f7. There's a bishop on g7, a pawn on a7, and a pawn on a6, b6 as well. They've also got a knight on c6, another knight on f6, then a pawn on g6, another pawn on c5, and finally a pawn on e5.
All right, got it. So quite a crowded board. Just looking at it, anything strike you as, I don't know, unusual?
Well, White's queen, it seems pretty active there on d6, but it just feels a little out of place. Vulnerable even.
Yeah, I see what you mean. It's like they say, a queen out of place is a queen in danger. Plus, black's pieces, they seem ready to pounce. Like they're just waiting for the right moment to spring some sort of trap.
Exactly. So where do we even start with this one? Anything jump out at you? Any particular piece or area of the board we should be focusing on?
Well, I'd say keep a close eye on that knight black has on c6. It's not just about where it is now, but where it could go. One good move in that knight could really cause white some trouble.
You're thinking about that classic knight fork, aren't you? Where it attacks two pieces at once, all thanks to that L-shaped movement. But, hold on, wouldn't White's bishop on f3 be able to block any fork attempts?
You'd think so, right? But that's what makes this puzzle so interesting. Black can actually force white to move that bishop, leaving those pieces vulnerable.
Now I'm really intrigued. How do they do that?
Well, it all starts with the knight. It jumps to d4.
Directly attacking White's queen.
Exactly. Now, white's got no choice but to capture with their queen on e7. But that move opens up a whole new can of worms. Black's knight then jumps to f3.
Forking the king and the rook. I see it now.
Right, a nasty surprise. So white has to move their king to g2, which lets black's knight move onto e1, attacking the rook again and just controlling so many crucial squares.
Wow, that's a brutal sequence. So black isn't going for checkmate here. They're just slowly dismantling White's position.
Exactly, a slow, suffocating kind of attack. And to really put the pressure on, black then brings their rook over to e7. Now they're in control of that open e-file, and white is in serious trouble.
Okay, let's go through the solution one more time just to make sure everyone's got it. So the answer is, black moves their knight from c6 to d4. White then takes black's knight with their queen, moving from d6 to e7. Black's knight then jumps from d4 to f3, forking White's king and rook. White has to move their king to g2 to escape check. Black's knight then hops from f3 to e1, continuing to attack White's rook and control key squares. White moves their rook from d1 to e1 to defend. Finally, black moves their rook from e8 to e7, adding even more pressure to White's already crumbling position.
Really impressive play by black. This puzzle shows us how a slow, strategic attack can sometimes be even more effective than a quick checkmate.
Definitely something to keep in mind the next time you're on the board. Thanks for listening, everyone.